One time for the folks that hate me. Two time for the folks saying that ain't none, cause they don't know how they gon' face me. 3-5 in the blunt, I'm facing it. 4 time blessed, ain't no change. 5 time.
So I remember when I was growing up seeing that Mississippi was one of, if not the poorest states in America. And it made me think about when I was getting out the hospital after winning my fight with cancer and continue on, to back to my normal life. And I could have just kind of did the bare minimum and just got by and got my grades right. But I always, tried to have high expectations for myself and exceed expectations. And when I was thinking about you in this podcast, and just the fact that you made it out of the situation you were in Mississippi, you could have just went to college and started your career and got a job, but you decided to not only go to college but write books, which even for Black women, at times they're scared to share their voice, and also start the Village Market. So you exceeded expectations, and I remember first seeing you at that event. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't even remember exactly what you said, but everything you were saying, I'm just like, yeah, I gotta connect with her. Like it just was making sense to me. So yeah, you started the Village Market. So yeah, what is the Village Market?
Yes. First, thank you for having me. I'm so proud of you. You continue to defy all odds yourself, and I think you and I have that in common. As you said, I grew up in Mississippi. Mississippi is one of the economically distressed places in the country. Um, and so the severity of the conditions of Mississippians is one of the things that keeps me always fighting for better.
Right.
Yeah, always fighting for better. And so when I moved to Atlanta almost 15, 16 years ago, and I came to Atlanta as an educator, and I'm a forever educator, though I'm not in the classroom, though I'm not with Georgia Department of Education as a research and evaluation specialist anymore. Now I'm a serial entrepreneur, but I came here and I felt something in this city. I felt something that I never felt before, and that was a deep sense of belonging, access, and opportunity. So the expansiveness for Atlanta is why I created the Village Market, which
Right.
is a flagship for Black businesses to have their first opportunities, one of their first opportunities in front of mass customers. And so I started in 2016. And
Mhm.
since then, from doing marketplaces, working with a lot of national partners, I now own retail stores, the Village Retail at Ponce City Market, at Atlanta's airport, and also a pop-up at Google Visitor Experience in California. Everything that I build, all the work that I do as a social entrepreneur is because I believe in betterment. I believe that we can complain about things or we can complain and build.
Right.
And I'm more on I'm more on the builder side. I'm very solutions oriented.
Mhm.
So when folks visit the Village Retail, any one of my locations, or stop by my bookstore downtown, Village Books, everything I build is for our community to have access, opportunity, and expansiveness.
Exactly. Well, I want to ask you, like them years back, um, when you were leaving high school, going into college, then going into career, if you can remember, how did that look for you? The reality of everything, how that really looked day to day.
Yeah, thank you. I don't think anyone has ever asked me that question before, so thank you. And you pulling me back many years at this point. But I remember you growing up in Batesville. I went to South Panola High School, a very popular school in Mississippi for its football program. We produced a number of NFL players out of South Panola. But when I decided to go to Tougaloo College, in my mind, I didn't know what to expect. I was just excited. Tougaloo is a small private HBCU in Mississippi, in Jackson, right outside of Jackson, Mississippi, Tougaloo, Mississippi. But most folks say Jackson, Mississippi. But
Mhm.
when I got there and making that decision um, for my 4 year pathway, in my mind, I was getting ready to experience what I saw on a different world. The hit show, I was like, oh, I'm about to experience a different world. I can't wait.
Mhm.
And going to Tougaloo, going to HBCU, it changed my life. I was young, excited, ambitious, inquisitive, all those things, but eager to seize this next opportunity. But I also remember being a little bit afraid. Because while Jackson is 2 hours from my hometown, that's the furthest I've ever been from my parents. That was the furthest I've ever been from my grandparents. And so that sense of security, I'm going into a place where I don't know anyone. But going to Tougaloo every day, I was like, wow, what am I doing? This is number one, having that level of autonomy with your scheduling. And you know this level of autonomy with your scheduling. No one is kind of saying, go do your homework. You just got to go do it. But I've always had this level of excellence for myself, even as an 18-year-old going to college. I've always believed in, I just want the best for myself and want the best, and I have to input the best. So at Tougaloo, I was a student leader, academically astute as well, and all those things, and making sure that I was a voice on campus and not just one of the voices, but one of the voices of one of the student leaders. That meant a great deal to me. And then starting my career as an early 22-year-old teaching in the Mississippi Delta also changed my life for the better. I absolutely love young people. When I met you, number one, I knew that you were special. I just knew it. I knew that I can't wait to see all that you're going to become in life, because I know it's going to be something amazing. But seeing you reminded me, and all the young people, all the young folks that I met that day at Georgia State, I think that was Georgia State, meeting many of y'all that day, really.
At this event.
Yes, that event. Yes,
ACAP.
great event,
Yeah.
great event, great event. But that was incredible for me. It was a full circle moment. Yeah.
Exactly. I gotta ask you, did you ever have any regular jobs or 9 to 5s? And if you did, like, what did it teach you? Because obviously your main focus became entrepreneurship and connecting entrepreneurs. But that's something where, like, you know, a lot of people who are working for somebody, they're working 9 to 5s, you know, they want to end up working for themselves. So did you have that experience or?
Yeah. Listen, not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, and not everybody should be an entrepreneur. But for those of us who do, I think what has made me a successful entrepreneur is because I spent 9 to 10 years in the education world. I taught first, then I worked at the Georgia Department of Education. But even before that, my very first job was at the Boys and Girls Club. I was maybe 16, 17 years old, started working at the Boys and Girls Club, and I kept a job at the Boys and Girls Club throughout college. One of my scholarships for undergrad was from the Boys and Girls Club, because my level of service, me being committed to to that job, and also being committed to volunteering. But yes, learning how to be a professional and being able to teach, being able to be a leader, being able to then work at the Georgia Department of Education, it helped shape me into being a CEO of my own companies. So I am happy that I had that first, because it taught me a professional decorum, that I got a free master class in what it meant to be a CEO, what it meant to be a leader, and also the things that I didn't like about my former leaders that I had to report to, but also the things that I really loved and admired about them. As being a CEO myself, and then working in other careers, really helped inform how I wanted to be, how I wanted to lead, how I wanted to treat my team and my staff and those who come on this mission with me. But I wouldn't skip any of those journeys to rush to entrepreneurship. I needed every single situation, every single job that I had. I needed all of them, because it informed who I am, and also who I'm not.
Exactly. Now, I I feel like today is very common to see people bash women, especially Black women. And I've been blessed to always have been around really great women.
Yeah.
And I feel like I understand what women are like really capable of.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's much better. Like, I feel like this podcast is a woman empowerment podcast. And it's a lot of other things too. But like, I feel like it's a better way to go about it to have a woman like you who is a great example of what Black women are capable of, and for you to, you know, speak on things instead of just being like, oh, Black women do this, they, you know, they so messed up in this way. So if you could speak to young women, what are just some things, you know, you feel like they should focus on and, you know, do?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for that. I'm going to speak to young women. I'm also going to speak to young men because you all are the future, right? And how you're in relationship with yourself will inform how you're in relationship with other people. So all the young women who will listen to this podcast, number one, I want you to hear from me that you are enough. And I'm saying the same thing to young men who listen to this podcast. You are enough. I want you to walk into the world with your head high. I want you to walk into the world with a sense of self-respect, a sense of belief that whatever you may be faced with in life, everything is seasonal. So you have hard seasons, and then you have incredible seasons. And you may have some hard seasons again. All of it is a part of life, but the way that we commit to our own betterment and self-improvement it's a level of the I hold myself with a high level of integrity. I hold myself as being a very principled person because I know the life that I want and I know the life that I deserve. But in order for me to have the life that I want and have the life that I deserve, I have to really be committed to loving myself. So as you all listen to me, loving yourself means to speak kindly to yourself, be honest about who you are, be mindful about what you put into your minds, be mindful about what you put into your bodies, be mindful of the type of relationships that you have, be mindful of the way that you speak on other people. All these things matter because it informs the type of how you will be in relationship later in life, the type of leader you will be, the type of mom, the type of aunt, the type of sister, and so on and so forth, the type of person that you will be in community. And so while many of us we can't control the conditions that we were born in, we can't control what our family is or isn't. What we can control is a sense of our own destiny that we say, I'm going to defy every single odd that is put before me. All the things that I dream, I'm going to put it on my own vision board of life and I'm going to work tenaciously in order to pursue it. But in that pursuit of success, I know that I'm important not because of the money I've made, not because of the influence that I may possess. I am I am this way. I am all these great things are happening to me because I am divinely created. Because I don't want us to be in pursuit, and everyone who's listening, I don't want us to be in pursuit of a thing, to think that thing is what makes us important. We were born important. What are we going to do with our importance? What are we going to do with our divine creation? And seeing you create, going back to you, seeing you create this podcast is another part of your destiny to unify people, to try to enlighten people, to have conversations like this, conversations that of love. And before we get to the next question, the last thing that I would add to that is that we also must be in relationship with people that care about us, care about our well-being, care about our goals, that reminds us of who we are when it gets really, really, really hard, when we go through things in life. You are a cancer survivor. I can't imagine how many hard days you had and the people that spoke life into you when you were afraid. We have to have people like that in our lives that remind us that every single hard thing that we have faced has failed and we have survived it. That is how we can show up in this world and know not just that we are worthy, but all of that is the way that we pour into our cups of life and be fulfilled, and that we can have a life of profound impact and purpose, but also a life of happiness and a life of peace.
And you speaking life into me.
Absolutely.
Wow. I'm gonna have to watch this back. I'm definitely
Yeah.
gonna watch this back. Wow. Well, that actually transitions perfectly into
Yeah.
the next thing, which is your book. Obviously, I mentioned you're an author, so you
Yeah.
have No One is Self-Made. So
Mhm.
I don't want to ask you even what that book is about. I want to ask you like first. Actually, I never spoke on it, but after I kind of got through everything, my dad said I should write a book. And I knew like my podcast was what I wanted to do like for a long time. Like when I was in high school, actually, I was going to start this podcast, and it was a lot that kind of delayed it. But yeah, like just when it came to all the things you could have did, what made it like writing a book the thing you wanted to do?
Yeah. You know how you knew in high school you was going to start this podcast?
Hmm.
I've known since I was probably in middle school, if not earlier, that I would be an author. Um, I'm an avid reader. I love books.
Mhm.
Growing up in a small town in Mississippi, when there's not a lot to see, books gave me a different set of lens. It gave me a different 2020 vision because I got to see the world in an expanded form through the gift of people who can write. And also, what informed my advocacy is reading about people like Fannie Lou Hamer, one of the greatest leaders that have ever walked this country. And she's a Mississippian. Reading about her, learning about Ida B. Wells. If I did not read, I would not know about these people because I wasn't learning about these people in high school. I was learning about these people in the books that I was buying and books that people were lending me. And so I knew if it gave me that level of access and enlightenment, if it grew me intellectually, I knew that I wanted to be a part of that. Storytelling is one of the greatest forms, a way that we can keep and hold history, and also the way that we can inform the future. I wrote No One is Self-Made as a sense that I wanted people to understand that our greatest power is within each other, that we have to move away from individualism. The self is very important, but the self is a part of the whole. How are we building community? How are we building our village? But that belief that I had that I was going to be a writer is the same belief that I had that I was going to be a speaker. When I was also 18 and I was looking in my high school, I can't remember the name of it's not an annual with other book where you kind of write all your dreams and goals and people write you all these cool messages. I,
Yearbook.
it's similar to a yearbook, but it's
Mhm.
like a senior year analog. I can't remember, but I wrote a letter to myself that I was going to tour the world. I was going to travel the world, and I have. That I was going to own multiple businesses, and I do. That I was going to write books, in one book so far, and that I was going to be a speaker. Every single thing that I wrote when I was 17 years old has come to be. And so I also write from a place that it is prophetic. I'm a true believer that we must begin to write our goals down and move forth in life, waiting for us to ascend into that goal. Every single thing that I wrote, I have done. So
Wow.
every single thing that I have written, that I wrote, I have done. And there's more things that I'm writing now that I will do. But writing for me, writing No One is Self-Made was a love letter for our community. It's a love letter for young men like yourself. As you go through undergrad and ascend into a young man into life, I hope it informs your competency that always take care of the self, always have self-determination, but also, do you have a commitment to community? Are you working collaboratively with people? Have you built your village? Because to me, building the village is like having Avengers surrounding you. Everybody possesses superpower. And if we're all working towards the same thing, imagine where our lives would be. Imagine where your life would be.
Exactly. Wow,
Hmm.
there's so many things we could talk about. I'm definitely
Yeah.
have to have you back on in the future.
Yeah.
Um, but I want to ask, on my last episode, I just posted yesterday. I was we were speaking more on the health and nutrition side of things, but I was just speaking about how it's very common in our world for people to feel like just because we're going to leave this earth one day,
Yeah.
that it's like no point of doing stuff. And I feel like or I want to ask for you, like, you know, what do you strive for, or what do you want to leave here? Because obviously, all the stuff we have in this physical earth we don't bring with us, but like, what do you still strive for regardless?
Oh, what a beautiful question. What I strive for, and I'll tell you the gift, what I promised myself this year, that this was going to be one of the healthiest years that I have ever lived. And I'm always committed to my health. As you know, right before we hopped on, I was telling you I just finished my
Yeah,
workout. I went for my walk.
she on her stuff.
Yes, I already started. You saw me drinking my
Hmm.
water before we started. So I
Exactly.
am almost always committed to my well-being. But what I'm always striving for is that I want to live in harmony. I want to live in harmony internally and externally. So me being committed to my wellness, me being committed to being a reader, me being committed to listening to podcasts like this that help me intellectually and spiritually, me being committed to being a good steward, all those things is what I strive for. I'm always going to be successful. I work hard. I'm intentional. My intestinal fortitude is even why we're on your podcast today. So I know that the parts in the pockets of my life that I get to touch will be forever changed because I was a part of it. But as an individual, as a person, when people think of me or when I think about myself, only thing that I rest in every night, are you at peace? Are you really happy? When you look in the mirror, do you really love yourself? Are you clear about who you are and whose you are? That is my competency, because if I can say yes to all those things, then every single thing that I build in life, every single thing I build in life will exceed its potential, because I've made sure that the vessel is good. We are our greatest work. We are our greatest masterpiece. If we commit to being well, mind, body, spirit, and soul, the light that we possess, we are already unstoppable and undeniable. That is the only thing that I aspire for. As I told you, I'll hit the business goals. I'm wired that way. But I always want to live and be my highest self.
Mm. No, that's important too. I feel like, you can start to gain success in materialistic things or certain goals and kind of lose that
Yeah.
peace and harmony. That's definitely real.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We both Keys. I'm Key
Yeah.
Ron. You
Yeah.
Dr. Key.
Yeah.
So I gotta ask you, what are the 3 keys you feel like to bettering your mental health?
Oh, that's so good. And I love it. I love it. I love it. Right. Uh, the key squared, you and I both, to mental health.
Mm.
Mental health, breath work changes everything for me. There are days when I'm overwhelmed, because being a social entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, I'm making big decisions almost every day, and I lead people. When I find myself feeling overwhelmed, I do my breath work. That's a deep inhale in, slow exhale out, and I calm my nervous system.
Wait, can I stop you? My bad.
Yeah,
It's so crazy you're saying this. This has
yeah,
actually been one of the main things like that's kind of changed my life this year.
yeah,
It's literally like just been like even somebody watching, like just stopping and
yes,
just breathing, like just paying attention to your breathing and actually inhaling. Like it's helped
yeah,
me every day. That's
yes.
crazy you say that.
Yes, it literally, and it's something that's accessible to us, right? That's accessible. That means if you can't get on a call with your therapist, if the people not texting you back, who is normally your support system, but we have control of our breathing. If we have control of our breathing, right? If you're healthy and things like that, and so that if you take a moment to take that deep inhale in, that slow exhale out, regulate your nervous system, then it calms you. In calmness, then you can know how you need to move or not to move. So that's number one for me with my mental health. Secondly, my fitness. I have to move my body. I have to work out. I have to go for my walks. All of that and being in nature transforms me, because we're all interconnected. We're connected with the tree, no different than I'm connected with you. We're all created for this. Everything that is created has a purpose for the betterment of each other. So I surrender in nature almost every day. If weather permitting, I go outside every single day. I go for hikes as well on the weekends. So being out in nature, moving my body, that's number two for me. And then thirdly, number three, therapy is always is great. I always believe in getting you a therapist, having you someone that you can talk to, having you someone that you can who their sole job is to make sure that you can get it all out and help you direct yourself on how you need to pivot or how you need to move emotionally. So therapy, I'm gonna do a bonus for. But so therapy is critical. Um, but fourthly, our relationships matter. Mental health and the type of people that we allow around us. If we're around a lot of toxic people, it begins to erode your positivity. It begins to erode your belief of who you are. and what you're capable of. Doesn't mean that you're going to be around perfect people, but you do need to be around people that operate more in the positive, operate more in wanting what's best for you, operating in more, not sending you anything that could warp your, like if it's a great podcast you have, people that's flooding you. It's like, yo, I see you, that's amazing. I'm gonna reshare it. Rather than people who operate sometimes from a spirit of envy when they can't be happy for you because they're competing. All these things help us, the quality relationships that we have with ourselves, the quality relationship that we have with other people, all that helps our mental health.
Wow, no, I agree with everything you just said. Yeah, no, that's crazy with the breath work too, because I realized like a lot of times I would be holding my breath. Even when I was working out, I would always feel tired, and I'm like, once I realized it, just really helped my life. But the
And you
next
see your
question,
shoulders drop, right? Like
yeah,
when you realize you're tense and you're holding your breath, when you take that deep inhale in, slow exhale out, your shoulders drop.
exactly.
Yeah,
Also therapy too.
yeah.
It was times in my life where I don't want to say I was against it. I just had so much going on that I didn't want to
Mhm.
stop and meet with a therapist. But I think that dynamic of just speaking out loud to someone and getting their perspective, it's like you have to experience it, but it's not something that people should like disregard. It's like really helpful, especially because you have to get you straight before you want to do anything. So it
Mhm.
helps you get yourself together. Like I 100% agree.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's uncomfortable at first, right?
yeah,
It
it
feels
is.
weird to have this conversation with a stranger. It's in a level of vulnerability with a stranger.
Mhm.
It feels very weird and uncomfortable at first. But I do think the more you engage with a good therapist, every therapist is not a good therapist, and every therapist is not a fit. It's like dating. It's like finding the fit that works for you, that fits your needs. But when you find a good one, it's so freeing to speak to someone that you can be unapologetically yourself and that you do not have to be afraid of being judged with what you share.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. So then we got another key question.
Yeah.
So we started off with mental health. So
Mhm.
then I gotta ask you, what are the 3 keys to becoming a better entrepreneur? Obviously, you started the
Oh,
village market
yeah.
for entrepreneurs, and
Yeah.
you, I think, not only speaking on the success, but creating something the way life works. Regardless, there's going to be failure, there's going to be setbacks,
Yes.
and that's where you learn. So, what are some of the main things you've learned?
Oh, good question. Number one, um, one thing that I always rely on, you need to know your business. You have to be clear on how everything operates in your business. You need to know your numbers. You need to understand if you sell a product, what does it take to be profitable? What are your sales margins? If you sell a service, same thing. You have to know it operationally. You have to know what your brand identity is. What's your brand voice? So even for your podcast, who is that target audience? Who is the, when you think about audience A, audience B, who are the people that you want to listen? And then what do you want them to do when they listen to this podcast? That's how I think about talking and speaking to an audience. How do we want to inform them, and what do we want them to do with the information or the content or the product? And
Mhm.
then secondly, um, especially when it's time for you to start building your team, fit matters. And a bad hire can really subdue your growth and hurt the company internally. So evaluate, stick to your 30, 60, 90-day evaluation of a new employee. If they're not meeting the measure and you've done the training and you've been clear on expectations, you have to turn. Um, and you're not terming is very hard. Let me name that. But I've looked at it this way. You turn people so they can find the better fit for them. And so then it opens your company to finding the better fit for your company. So you're setting people free to go where they fit better. And then you open up space within your company to find somebody who's a better fit for what you need. And then the last key to success of entrepreneurship, you need some time where you can step back. You need time where you can step back and then look at your pivot strategy. In the best case scenario, where will I grow? In the worst case scenario, how do I need to pivot? You're an athlete, so you know that pivoting transforms how the defense reacts to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, son. Okay.
A little something, little
Yeah.
something. It transforms how defense reacts to you. But
Right.
your direction is the same. You're trying to get to the basket.
Mhm.
If you play football, you're trying to get to that goalpost. All of it is the same. But so while you're pivoting, the direction is the same. So I do think you need times in entrepreneurship. The best case scenario, where am I going? The worst case scenario, then how do I pivot? With the understanding I'm still trying to get to the same destination. All of that, having a clear sense of how your business operates, you being clear, having some clear KPIs is number one. Number two, being able to have a 30, 60, 90-day evaluation with new hires, making sure as a leader you inform them of the expectation. You've trained them, you've communicated with them. But if they don't fit, you have to free them so they can go and be where they're better aligned, and free yourself to get somebody that is more fit for your company. And thirdly, being able to step back, look at your company with a clear mind, clear focus. Best case scenario, worst case scenario, how do I need to pivot? And then
Yeah.
lastly, this is not, you won't find this in any type of entrepreneur business book,
Mhm.
but I'm always grateful to be an entrepreneur. Gratitude, gratitude as anything that you in anything you do in life. Gratitude shifts you. It keeps you responsible. It keeps you mindful. Gratitude will also help you remember, wow, I was chosen for this. Out of all the people, I'm the one that got this idea. Let me go give it all that I have. And also in entrepreneurship, you have to know when to let it go.
Right. No,
Hmm.
you're right. There's only one you, Dr. Lakeysha. There's
Yeah,
only one you. That's
absolutely.
right. Yeah, I like how
Yeah.
you were speaking about your employees as well.
Yeah.
Because even you brought up basketball, like even when it comes to basketball, being a leader, you know, a lot of times when people are first trying to be leaders, they're worried about if people are going to listen to them, if they're going to follow
Yeah.
them, and you have to be dependable. And you know,
Yes, that's
that's a big
good.
part of being a leader. Is like, you know, you want to, you know, tell people to do this and that, but you have to also be that model and be show them
Mhm.
through your actions.
Yeah.
So it goes for both. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I have two more questions. You know, I don't want
Yeah.
to keep you on too long.
Okay.
We definitely will connect again in the future.
Yeah.
Um, but my next question would be, well, you kind of already touched on the. Okay, I'm asking it a different way. So
Okay.
we spoke on we spoke on you know life, and you know obviously we're not going to be here forever, and what do we want to leave? Another part of that, I guess, is a two-part question. Would be um, what is going to be here after us is the next generation.
Yeah.
You know, so what do you think? You know, is important for them to focus on because that is what's going to be left when we're not here.
Hmm. You know what I hope that we leave the next generation, because we all get to go from, we all are following a blueprint that was left for us, right?
Mhm.
What I hope that we leave the next generation is the importance of taking care of their minds and taking care of their bodies. We're at a time where it's mass distraction. We're at a time that if you don't feel that you're an influencer, then you're not important. That if you don't go viral, then what you created is less important than what did go viral. We're
Right.
also at a time where viral things are toxic. Some of the things that go viral are toxic. So then it makes you feel like, oh, I have to be a caricature more than I have to be a human. I hope that we lead the next generation that you how you live your life with integrity is important. How you take care of your mind, how you limit distractions will help inform the type of person that you would be. I hope we leave the next generation a blueprint of how to truly collaborate together and build a village, and how that village should function. And I hope that we also leave the next generation a sense that goes back to number two, is that we truly need each other, that we're better, truly better together, that you being successful, your light that shines from you warms me, and the light that shines from me warms you. That is to that level of love that we can extend and leave as good roots for the next generation to exist under because of us. I think that we lead people healthier. I think we lead and guide people to be more whole. I think we lead and guide people with how to be better business owners, how to be better leaders, how to be better political leaders. All of that as we continue to fight for infrastructure changes and the rights of people and access. I also think that we can lead the blueprint on how to be just good, decent human beings and to know that that should be our commitment.
Exactly. I'll add to that too.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're speaking, you really like speaking to me. Like you making me remember stuff. But I don't think I've mentioned this. Like, well, first of all, uh, my family has always told me I'm an old man. Like even when I was like 5 years old, and when I was young, I didn't want to hear that. But now I've kind of embraced it. Like it just is how I am. Like I just think of things like I've been here before.
Yeah.
But I remember like when I was in the hospital, like for a year straight, and I would be tired of the hospital. It was like I was 16 and I was doing online school because I was in Dubai, but I would be in there every week, like some weeks 5 days straight.
Mm.
And a different aspect of it was being in the hospital. I had a lot of time to think, and I kind of got to step outside of being like involved in what the normal stuff teenagers was doing, and I got to kind of like
Mm-hmm.
look from the side. And the thing I realized is like, um, oh wow, I forgot what I was saying. You were speaking on, dang, why did I lose my thought? You were
No,
speaking
no.
on young kids and
No.
oh, there we go. Okay, it's back. It's back. It's back. Okay, so yeah, when you're speaking on, influencership and feeling like you have to be this to be valued, I think a lot of times instant gratification is at an all-time high as well, and it feels like if you can't get it immediately, like people don't want to
That's
really
good.
build. And I realized over through like my trials and error, it takes a lot to really build like something. What I'm trying to say? People don't want to go through that process to really grow something. And there's so much failure. Like that's why if anyone feels like they feel like I'm successful anyway, it's because of all the failure, all the hardship I've gone through. Like I'm
Mhm.
constantly learning. Like I'm forced to learn from it. So yeah, like I think that's at an all-time high as well. Is like people want things now they don't want to actually
Yeah.
do what it takes to really build something.
Yeah,
They
that's
want everything
good.
immediately. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
what I
good.
realized. Mhm.
Hmm. I look
Um,
at that as, you know, I remember when microwaves became a thing, and it's just a thing for you. Now we're talking about air fryers. But I remember when microwaves became
yeah.
a thing, and we were like blown away, like, wow, it cooks it that fast.
Mhm.
And my grandmother would always say, I'm not touching that thing. I'm always going to use my crock pot. Things that cook things that cook slower, and the way that all her ingredients and all her spices, she's like, that's the best meal. I'm
Yeah.
only going to be a part of being the best meal. And I think one thing that we need to leave the next generation is that crock pots are still cool.
Mm.
That you need to let things slowly come together, because you don't want it fast, meaning sometimes you get things too fast, you fail fast, or the infrastructure isn't there, so the business fell fast. And run the business is hard, even if you do a crock pot. However, but we are losing the sense of the analogy of what a crock pot is. That everything great comes at a cost. Everything great requires the 10,000 hours that Malcolm Gladwell spoke of. That the reason why you have been able to continue to go and persevere is because that level of your own self-determination. You don't want it fast. You thought about this podcast in high school. You're doing it now. You're doing it now because while you have been a wise soul, probably since you was a little boy, and probably gonna stay this way. Um, but the wisdom that you possess as a young man, how you carry yourself, is the reason why you were created to build this podcast and all the many incredible things that you're going to do. And knowing that greatness is not overnight. Greatness takes many nights when you show up to the world more loud, people are going to feel like, oh, he was an overnight success. And your job in truth telling is saying that I've had many sunrises, I've had many sunsets. You're seeing me here, but let me tell you, every single time that I had to pivot, every single time that I had to go back and say, no, not that way. Let me refine that. That's the crock pot.
Exactly. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And before I ask this last question, I just
Yeah.
thought of another question real quick.
Yeah.
And you obviously grew up in Batesville,
Yeah.
Mississippi. And when you think of, you know, the US and the kind of hot states, you got like Atlanta, Miami, LA.
Yeah.
But you know, if somebody was saying Mississippi, you would be like, what? And you know, you from you from down south for real. And
Right.
you know, I just want you to speak on kind of like build that down south Mississippi identity and how Mississippi really was for you, because I know you have a love for your home state.
I
You know,
do. I do. Most people at this point think I'm from Atlanta, and I
of
always
course.
correct people. And I say, as I got to grow into my womanhood in Atlanta, to this adult version of me in Atlanta, but my roots are Mississippi. I have a love for my hometown. I have a love for my home state because the level of love that I receive from my family and from my community, that's the ingredients of who made me who I am. So Mississippi has many things um, infrastructurally that is created to disenfranchise people. So I'm never going to ignore that. I'm never going to ignore the harm that Mississippi has done and continues to do with people of color in the least of these. I'm never going to neglect that truth. But I also have to tell another truth. The Some of the most loving people that I have ever met, no matter where I have traveled, there's a warmth when I go home to Mississippi, a warmth for people who've known me a long time or people that I'm just meeting in my Uber. There's a warmth that is pervasive in the air of Mississippi that has informed the warmth that I carry me in my life. And there have been so many great Mississippians that many people look up to, many people admire. But these people chose to be leaders, chose to still be good people in spite of whatever conditions that they were a part of. But for me, Mississippi was a blanket of care. Dr. King talked a lot about that blanket of care. The late Congressman Lewis did as well. Um, I just had a deep sense of people who really cared about me and care for me still. And that I've had a sense of safety at home in a state that has been deemed unsafe um, for folks that look like you and I. And it continues to be unsafe for people that look like you and I. But there are people like me that's from Mississippi too, that you are forever safe with. And so we always have to tell two narratives, but we cannot ignore the one that is loud.
Mm. And I think you'll like this. A lot of times when people don't have as much, they're forced to be creative, and
Yeah.
that probably really was a big part of your development because you know, especially places where it's just like they don't have the hype and they're not looked at and there's not a lot going on. You're forced to like figure out stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which yeah,
It helps you. It also helps you
Mhm.
not be distracted. Growing
Right.
up in a little small town like I did out in the country, I'm out climbing trees and running and
Yeah.
running through the woods, all the things that city kids have access to. We didn't have access to that. And so what we had was always choosing to play together as cousins or neighbors. And it was just so much fun. It was so freeing. So I appreciate the safety that I had growing up in a small town where there was not a lot of violence, there was not a lot of crime. My grandmother still leave her door unlocked, in her hometown.
Yeah.
We would
Oh, in
absolutely
Atlanta, never. Oh,
never. We're not
never.
gonna leave the car unlocked. We're not leaving anything unlocked. But growing up in like really insular communities, there's just a level of safety that I think, unless you've experienced it, you've only had the worldview of how to protect yourself,
Oh,
rather than the worldview that I walk through a neighborhood and I am safe.
exactly.
Yeah.
I love that answer. So yeah, for the last question,
Yeah.
this is called the Undeniable Podcast. And the question is, what is one thing about our world that you think is undeniable, that you just believe is true? It's
Yeah.
undeniably true.
I believe in the goodness of people. I think it's undeniably true. I think that,
Right, my bad. Let me ask you, like, even like criminals or people who made bad
yeah,
decisions.
I'm going to expound on that.
Mhm.
So I do believe that I believe in the goodness of people. I believe the light that people possess. I still believe there's more good than there is bad. But I also believe what is undeniable is that there is darkness, that there are people who don't mean each other well. There are people that's in pursuit of how to disenfranchise people. And that's their sole compass and that's their sole purpose. But what I believe is truer than that is that light always, always, always triumphs over darkness. You often hear about when you light a candle in a dark room, that room is no longer dark. What I believe is that the light that we carry into darkness, the light that you and our ancestors carried into darkness, is the reason why we experience a freedom now that they could never imagine. Imagine if they ever succumbed to the thought that the darkness would always win.
Wow.
Imagine that. Because they believed in the light, because they believed that light will always eradicate darkness in a room. It's the reason why we have a light of our own freedom now.
Wow. Wow.
Mhm.
Great answer. Wow. It's crazy too that you keep saying light and speaking on
Yeah.
light, because my
Mhm.
parents named me Kiran, which means ray of light.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Mm.
that's my name meaning. So
Oh,
wow.
carry that. Your mother knew, your father know, who I got an opportunity to meet. Like, your name has so much power, but you also walk in that. I would never forget meeting you. I knew when you walked up to me, I knew that you were special. I knew that I had met someone that is going to transform the world that he occupies. I knew this. And
Wow,
I
you
think
gassed me up.
it's important for you to know. It's important for you to know because life has a way of making us forget or making us question. And so the beautiful thing about being in community is that you have people that will bear witness to you. And so being able to bear witness into another person is to speak light and life and light of what you saw in them when you had an opportunity to meet them. You saw something in me, I saw something in you. Then I got an opportunity to meet your dad. And then I saw like, oh, this young man has been raised well, but they marked you with a name. They marked you with a name that if you continue to love yourself and be tenacious and be kind to yourself and choose to be a good steward, your name will you're going to continue to live the reason why you were named what you're named.
Wow. Thank you, Dr. Key.
Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
actually the third doctor I've had on here too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, this is going to be a timeless episode. This is going to be a timeless episode for sure. And yeah, so everybody, like the video, subscribe, comment, share this if you enjoy this type of content. Y'all go buy her book, No One is Self-Made. Check out the Village Market. Check out all the stuff she has going on. I'm gonna link all her social medias and that stuff. But yeah, thank you again for joining me. We've been trying to do this for a while. You're a very busy woman, so I was always excited to finally connect with you. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Everybody share this podcast. Let's in every episode, not just this one.
Yes, ma'am. All right, well, we out of here. All right.